Okay, so now that we know how to simplify radicals, or namely square roots, we can begin to add, subtract, multiply, and square them. So let's show you how to do this. When you add and subtract radicals, you have to have the same number inside the radical. So our first one, we have 4 square root of 3 plus a square root of 3. Well, if you consider this, this is really a 1 in front of the square root of 3. That's its coefficient. So 4 square root of 3 plus 1 square root of 3, we have 4 plus 1. So this turns out to be 5 square root of 3. And what you do is you think of it this way. 4 square root of 3 really means that I have a square root of 3, another square root of 3, another one, and another one. And I get one more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So based on that principle, we can look at the middle one and go, well, 2 square root of 3 minus 9 square root of 3 then is -7 square root of 3. The radicals have the same number underneath. So 2 minus 9 is -7. And the last one you go, hey, based on that principle, you can't do anything, but you can, because the square root of 12 breaks down. See, 12 becomes 4 times 3. And the square root of 4 times the square root of 3 is really 2 square root of 3. And if we drop down this 2 square root of 3 and subtract, I'm going to get an answer of 0. 2 minus 2 is 0. 0 times the square root of 3 is 0. Okay. Now multiplying radicals. You might have a really good idea of how to do this based on what we just did in the last concept. Here, it doesn't matter if the numbers inside the radical are different. We can go ahead and multiply them still. So this becomes the square root of 10. But you want to be careful on is, does the square root of 10 simplify? Meaning, is there a perfect square inside of 10? There's not. So we leave it be. Our next one has 5 square root of 6 times the square root of 3. Well, again, there's a 1 out in front of the square root of 3. And 5 times 1 is 5. And 6 times 3 is the square root of 18. But 18 breaks down. 18 is really 9 times 2. So this becomes 5 times the square root of 9 times the square root of 2. And that's 5 times 3 times the square root of 2, which is 15 square root of 2. And our last one, if you multiply the coefficients, that's 3 times 5 is 15. And 2 times 10 is 20. 20 is going to be a popular radical in this video series. We can break 20 down. Well, I'd like to, if I can find it here. There it is. Got away from me for a moment. So 20 breaks down into 4 and 5. We keep the 15. And we can break the square root of 4 down to 2. That's kind of not a very good looking 5 there. So we'll clean that up. So this becomes 30 square root of 5. Okay, squaring radicals. Kind of talked about this in the last concept too. This is the square root of 89 times the square root of 89. Well, what you could do is multiply the numbers inside. 89 times 89. I don't know what that is off the top of my head. It's a really big number. But you know what I do know? The final answer is going to be 89, and here's why. See, the square root of 89 is the same as 89 to the 1/2 power. And if we multiply it by itself, by rules of exponents, we have to add the exponents together. It gives us 89 to the first, or just 89. So how do we do it when it's 5 square root of 6 squared? Well, what that means is it means to take 5 square root of 6 times itself. And namely, we're going to take 5 times 5. And we're going to multiply the square root of 6 times the square root of 6. So we kind of do it in two chunks here. So 5 times 5 is 25. And the square root of 6 times itself is 6. Now, if I think about this, 6 quarters is $1.50, meaning our final answer is 150. Can you do the next one in your head? I bet you can. I bet you can. It's 2 square root of 3 times 2 square root of 3. You might be faster than I. 2 times 2 gets done first. That's 4. The square root of 3 times the square root of 3 is 3. 4 times 3, usually 12. It is. All right. Little 6 of them for you to try. Threw in a little shenanigan here at the end here. Okay. Give those 6 a try. I'll be back with you here in just a moment. share the answers with you. All right, first one is a square root of 40. That breaks down into 4 times 10. Final answer, 2 square root of 10. Let's go across. 9 square root of 3 minus 10 square root of 3. Used a lot of 3's in this video. 9 minus 10 is -1. So we could write this as -1 square root of 3, or we could just say it's negative square root of 3. Middle one on the left, square root of 2 plus a square root of 8. Let's do it. Square root of 10. Nope. You cannot add the numbers inside of a radical, so you have to see if you can break them down, and we can. 8 becomes 4 and 2. And so the square root of 8 becomes 2 square root of 2. We're going to add that to the 1, and that gives us 3 of them. Ooh, here's 20 again. Hi, 20. Square root of 20. 4 and 5. 2 square root of 5. Hey, that happened up above too. 2 square root of 5 minus itself becomes 0. 3 square root of 7 squared. Keep in mind that's 3 square root of 7 times 3 square root of 7. Show you another way. We're squaring both items really. So 3 times 3 is 9. The square root of 7 times itself is 7. That gives us 63. And finally, the square root of pizza squared. It's just pizza. I don't have any pizza for you. I guess I could draw a piece of pizza. I don't know what kind you like. Maybe a little stuffed crust, a little crust there, a little pepperoni action right there. I don't know. We'll make it a happy little piece of pizza, happy little piece of cheese. All right. That's how we do it. Hey, you're ready to proceed to the teacher talk next. Get ready for that. Make sure you have a good understanding of how to do things. See you again next time.